Hello everyone, and welcome back to my horribly inconsistent YouTube channel. In my last video, I went over some of the best games of 2020, and in this one, I'm gonna cover some of the big losers of the year. But wait, PartyPanda, 2020 is like a year ago. Ho 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 ho. Whatever, dude. I only get like 2 good ideas every 5 months, so just let me have this. Anyway, with that intro out of the way, let's get into some of the biggest disappointments of the year. Marvel's Avengers. Oh boy. Yeah, here we go. It really takes a special type of screw up to have an Avengers game flop during the golden era of the MCU. I remember when this game was first announced in 2017 and being hyped beyond belief. Tonk, Speeve, Hunk, Clit, and more all together in one game, plus Crystal Dynamics behind the scenes, there is no way they can mess this up. They messed it up! Fans were expecting a spectacular, heartfelt, single-player story mode like previous entries in the franchise. Major Marvel titles, after all, have had a great track record for outputting quality games. And by that, I mean 2 good Spider-Man games. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest, I never actually bought this game, but I saw plenty of reviews and watched my friend play it for like 15 minutes, so I'm basically an expert on the subject. From the story mode and gameplay I saw, it doesn't look too bad. It's when you dive deeper you find the real problems. Instead of making a story-driven title that focused on the world building of the larger Marvel universe, Square Enix produced a game similar to that of Destiny or Fortnite or Anthem, a game as a platform. After microtransactions, this is probably the worst trend in modern game design. This has basically become the norm for quick, cash-grabbing AAA titles where major studios will announce a game, release a very poor / unfinished version of it, and then add content and patches to make it the halfway decent game it really should have been at launch. Speaking of launch, this game had some problems. Personally, I didn't really have any gripes with it, but the reveal of the character designs in-game were met with very not so good reception. I don't really see what the big deal is. Oh, what the f***? They ended up changing the design and I guess it looks better? Huh, well would you look at that? Bullying works, kids. After that, it was announced that Spider-Man would be joining the game post-launch. Well, at least this game has some redemptive qualities. Spider-Man is PlayStation exclusive? Okay, I get having the single-player Spider-Man games being Sony exclusive makes sense, but you're trying to make a cooperative Avengers game without Spider-Man? I mean, at this point, console exclusive rewards seem kind of outdated and cheap. What's next? Charging players for new characters? I hate this game. Apparently, the single-player experience isn't that bad, albeit a bit shorter in comparison to other superhero titles. The co-op, on the other hand, was a complete misfire. How could this game say that it's multiplayer focused, and then put no effort into the multiplayer? All the missions are basically the same with just tiny differences in them to add some variety. I guess the combat is alright, but there just isn't enough good in this game to justify all of its problems. Look, it truly breaks my heart that this game flopped as hard as it did. I really want a good Avengers game, but this just isn't it. Maybe it'll get better in the future. I've certainly seen some games come back from worse. For now though, I see it as a major L. Super Mario 3D AllStars. To be fair, I absolutely loved all 3 of these titles on their respective consoles. Overall, this Mario Anniversary Pack is a pretty solid deal, but I still have my gripes with it as a longtime Nintendo fan. For months, Nintendo had Mario fans speculating what they would do for the 35th anniversary of everyone's favorite, shroom-addicted plumber. There were rumors of an HD remaster for Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy 1 and 2. This was, after all, a celebration of one of the most iconic gaming characters ever, so it definitely deserved all the stops. Then, in March of 2020, Nintendo hit us with this.
It's me, Mario!
Excuse me? I hate to complain, but I am 100% going to. I mean, what the fuck is this? Nintendo, this is literally the face of your company, and you can't even give it an HD remaster? Not only that, these games are literal ports of their original titles. with some glitches still completely intact. Alright, Nintendo has done some pretty shitty things before, but this is ridiculous, dude. All I can say is, I hope that the Zelda 35th anniversary is approached in a better way than this one was. Predator Hunting Grounds. This game isn't really one that I'm too familiar with, but I think it deserves its spot on this list nonetheless. I saw some footage of this game and didn't really think that much of it. If I'm being honest, I thought it looked pretty good. And that's why no one watches my videos. Predator Hunting Grounds is based on the hunting grounds of the Predator from the Predator movies. Huh. On paper, this sounds pretty good. It always surprises me that more major movie franchises aren't translated into video games, but after this and Avengers, I can understand why some studios would be a bit cautious. Anyway, that's a video for another day. Illphonic, the studio behind 2017's Friday the 13th, The Game, attained the licensing rights to produce a Predator game. This makes sense. Friday the 13th is a horror movie, Predator is a horror movie. Why not have the guys who worked on the last horror title work on this one as well? Well, I mean, that would make sense if Friday the 13th wasn't a complete shit show. The game was apparently plagued with bugs and crashes that seemed to happen almost every other match, making it borderline unplayable. Having someone with a mixed track record probably isn't the ideal choice to head a potential franchise. Point proven with Illphonic's second attempt at a horror game, which was Predator Hunting Grounds. The game was criticized for lacking map variety, uninspired missions, and glitchy AI. On top of that, the game was riddled with bugs and crashed often. On the bright side though, the Predator itself looks dope as fuck and the weaponry is spot on. Unfortunately, Illphonic just gave too little too late to really redeem any part of this game. Speaking of redemption, where the fuck is Galaxy 2 and 3D AllStars? Nintendo, how could you do this to my boy Yoshi? It's not too late. Give a free update or pay DLC. I don't care anymore, just give us the anniversary that we deserve. Sorry about that, I got a little off track there for a second. Anyway, Fast and Furious Crossroads. The Fast and Furious series is one of the most profitable movie franchises to date, so it only makes sense to capitalize on that IP in other mediums. What better way to immerse yourself into the world of furious fastness than with a racing game? The summary says, gear up for an epic new chapter in the Fast and Furious saga with high-speed heists, cinematic non-stop action, and adrenaline-fueled stunts in exotic locations. This game got absolutely destroyed by critics and fans alike. Look at this dude. 1 good review from critics and 12 bad ones. And for the users, 19 positive, 5 mixed, and 69 negative reviews. Nice. You know, I'm starting to see why most developers don't want to turn movie franchises into video games. The game suffered from basic and uninspiring gameplay that was simply too short and boring. The only real similarities that this game has to the Fast and Furious franchise is that there are cars involved. And if that's the only criteria you need to qualify for a Fast and Furious game, boy are there some alternatives. Madden NFL 21. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not the biggest Madden guy. The footballs and the dunks and the sports just never really appealed to me. I understand though that sports video games have gained quite a following. In recent years, however, the quality of these franchises seems to have decreased significantly, at least to many of the die-hard fans. The newer installments of the Madden franchise have been labeled as buggy, microtransaction-filled letdowns that seem to lack in innovation. I mean, that sounds like it sucks, but I guess I don't really know what that's like since I'm a real gamer who prefers games that pride themselves in their innovation and deep storytelling, like Call of Duty. Madden NFL 21 has been labeled as a generic football game that does almost nothing different than its predecessors. The things that are novel to the franchise have been received with mixed reception at best. The pay-to-win mechanics and horrible story mode have landed Madden 21 on this list for good reason. But you know what shouldn't be on this list but is? Super Mario 3D All-Stars. That's right, I'm not done with this. How could you not give this an HD overhaul or at least try to update the aspect ratio? Why are the controls still so clunky? And don't tell me it's about preserving the original experience, cause it's not. The original experience sucks. I want to enjoy this game the way it should be, not be limited by the technology of the 90s. Okay, deep breaths. Sorry again, guys. I almost lost my cool there for a second. Where was I? Cyberpunk 2077. More like Cyberjunk, am I right? If you saw my previous video about the best games of 2020, then you'll know that I wanted this game to succeed. It really does make me sad that it released like this, especially since you can see all of the hard work and passion the developers put into it. That being said, the launch of Cyberpunk 2077 is inexcusable. If you were on PlayStation or Xbox, you were straight up not gonna have a good time, dog. The load times were excruciatingly long, which I would forgive if the game wasn't so broken. Even when the game is done loading, it's not done loading. Assets are constantly being rendered into the map, making the immersion that CDPR intended for its fans not exist at all. Look at this! What the fuck is this thing? The groundbreaking physics glitches also send cars launching into space like it's Elon Musk with a Tesla or something. On top of the game being a complete disaster, the days following the launch is where it really falls apart. CDPR has been accused of false advertising, and it doesn't help their case that the only footage shown online was limited PC gameplay prior to the release. The company is now facing lawsuits and accused of forcing their employees into crunch hours. The number of complaints were so bad that Xbox had to put a warning label on the game, and PlayStation removed it entirely from their store. Because of this, CDPR has already lost over $1 billion. That's 4 times more than what the highest paid OnlyFans creator makes in a year. I believe that there is a good game somewhere in this mess, and it still has potential to make a lot of money, but it's going to take a lot of digging and apologies to find it. At the end of the day, I don't blame the developers for the launch. No one sets out to make a bad game, after all, and sometimes things just don't work out how they were intended to. All I can hope for is that the executives learn their lesson and will be a bit more patient with their workers in the future instead of rushing products out to make a quick buck. Speaking of the future and making a quick buck, what is so special about March of 2021? Why did Nintendo announce that 3D AllStars would only be available until March of 2021? Like, what's going to happen?
It's me, Mario! Hello!
What? What the fuck is going on over there? This has got to be one of the laziest, if not the laziest ports in gaming history. And now you're going to be so anti-consumer that you're going to sell this sad of excuse of an anniversary for a limited time? Look, I get that these are some of the most influential and highest rated games of all time, but come on, man. Am I wrong for expecting more than this? I mean, yeah, probably, but Mario and his fans deserve better treatment than this. You're going to charge me $60 for this? You can't seriously expect Nintendo fanboys to buy this ripoff, can you? There's no way any consumer in their right mind would be dumb enough to fall for this. God damn it, I can't help myself.